What's going on, you guys? So today I have an unboxing of the all-new iPhone 13 Pro Max in 3 different finishes: gold, silver, and new for this year, Sierra Blue. Now, the iPhone 13 Pro offers incremental upgrades over last year's already excellent iPhone 12, but it is more substantial when you compare it to older models such as the iPhone 10 and 11, which most people will be upgrading from. The 13 Pro brings new features such as 120Hz ProMotion refresh rate on the display, as well as an improved camera system. Externally, you will notice the camera system is a lot larger than it was in previous phones, including the 12 Pro, and that is due to the fact the cameras all use larger sensors this year. And Apple has brought the sensor shift technology we saw on last year's 12 Pro Max to all of the iPhone 13s this year on the wide-angle lens. The wide-angle lens is also capable of macro photography now, and Apple says it can focus on a subject as close as 2 centimeters away. And I will put the macro photography to a test at the end of the video where I do a camera test, compared to older iPhones. The 13 Pro also offers more 5G bands for improved 5G access and speeds over the world. But of course, if you want millimeter wave technology, those are only available on the US model of the phones. That is still not available internationally. So, taking a look around the box, this year we do have the back of the phone showcasing the color of the devices instead of last year's 12 Pro, where it was just the front of the phone. And of course, like in traditional iPhone fashion, the picture of the phone is embossed onto the cover of the box, and you can feel each individual camera as well as the camera bump. And all the Apple logos and the iPhone texts are all around the box are color matched to the specific color you buy. One thing you will notice is that there is no plastic wrap on the phones anymore, and that is in a move to save the environment. Instead, Apple just uses these pull tabs on the back of the phone, so you can just pull those off when you're trying to open them. So let's go ahead and open all the phones. Just go ahead and pull on the tabs. And the iPhone is resting in the box. And this is, of course, the silver model I just opened. So we got that frosted white glass finish on the back, as well as the glossy camera square, centered Apple logo. And you got the stainless steel sides. The front is covered up. And here's the little 5G millimeter wave antenna. This is only on the US phones. The international variants do not have this. And here's your camera system, as long as your LiDAR sensor and the LED flash. Of course, just like last year, there is no charging brick anymore, just your Type-C to Lightning cable, as long as with your information packets, SIM injection tool, and your single Apple sticker. And these are not color matched, so whatever color you buy, you'll only get white stickers. So let's go ahead and open the Sierra Blue version. There it is, resting in its tray. And of course you have stainless steel that is also in the Sierra Blue color. It does have a nice reflectiveness to it that I really like, but it's not the same color and it's not as light as it may seem in the pictures that Apple advertises online. But I still think it's a really nice color, and it does stand out. And of course it's the same things in the box, your charger and your Apple stickers. And let's quickly open the gold one as well. You can really see the gold has a nice glitter when the light hits it. But almost from the sides, it almost looks like it's just a silver phone. So it's a very faint color, but you can definitely see the sides are a traditional yellow gold color. So just holding the silver side by side, it is just a hint darker, but you will definitely see the difference when it comes to the side rails. Here is the Sierra Blue phone right next to them. First thing you notice when picking up one of these phones is just like, this is a unit, this is so heavy. And I'm coming from an iPhone 10, and even that back in the day was so heavy compared to other phones. So let's go ahead and take off the cover. And you have that 6.7-inch OLED display. You can see the notch in the light. This year the notch is just a little smaller. You can see that in the light there. They've moved the speaker up to the edge of the device and the camera to the side. So let's go ahead and power it on. And while that's booting up, we can take a quick size comparison between the traditional iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max. These are both in the Sierra Blue colors. So this year the camera between both sizes is actually identical, so you don't need to go to the higher end model to get the better cameras. You can just go to the standard size of the 13 Pro and get the same cameras. So you only have to choose between which size you want. And of course, you will get a little bit better battery life on the 13 Pro Max than you would on the traditional 13. But other than that, they are identical in all other regards. So let's go ahead and set up the Sierra Blue iPhone 13 Pro Max. So just slide up. And right away you'll notice the smooth 120 Hz scrolling. So let's go ahead and select English as the language. United States. And you also have the option of doing a quick start, which is when you can bring your old phone close to this and it'll automatically transfer the data. I'm not going to do that right now. Connected to my Wi-Fi network. A major thing Apple pointed out was that the size of the notch is now 20% smaller as they claim. Putting the two notches side by side, so this is my iPhone X, which is the first phone that introduced the notch, you can definitely see that the notch is a lot less wider. Now it is technically a hair taller, but it's really not that noticeable. So what they've done here, if you take a closer look, is that on my iPhone X, the earpiece is in the middle of the notch, whereas with the iPhone 13 Pro, the speaker has been moved basically to the very top edge of the phone. So basically what that has done, by moving the speaker all the way up the top, it's made a lot more space in the middle for all this Face ID hardware as well as the front-facing camera to go. Taking a look at the ProMotion aspect of the display, we can definitely see how much smoother the 120 Hz is on the iPhone 13 Pro compared to iPhone 12 and below. So in this case it's an iPhone X. So all the other iPhones cap out at 60 Hz, whereas the iPhone 13 Pro Max can go up to 120 Hz, but when it's idle like this, it can go down to as low as 10 Hz to save battery life. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the camera performs. Starting off the camera comparison, the iPhone X is on the left and the iPhone 13 Pro Max is on the right. None of the photos have been edited in any way. Both photos look really nice, but the iPhone 13 Pro does add saturation to the colors. For example, the blue and maroon railings, as well as the blue parts of the flag and the sky, are more vibrant on the 13, whereas all the colors are more true to life on the 10. Similar to the first picture, both phones do a good job of keeping everything sharp and in focus. The iPhone 13 is a bit more saturated. As we zoom into the middle of the photo, some differences begin to our eyes. Although both phones maintain a similar amount of sharpness, the 13 Pro does a good job of reducing noise. In this photo, the iPhone X seems to overexpose in some parts of the sky, while the iPhone 13 manages to get more detail in the clouds. As we zoom all the way into Alcatraz, iPhone 13 Pro's 15x digital zoom helps it get a lot more detail than the iPhone X's 10x zoom. Similar to a lot of other iPhone models, the more a photo gets zoomed in, the colors become softer and it starts to look like a painting, and that is definitely apparent here. Looking at the reflections in the water, the iPhone 13 seems to capture more detail in those areas, along with having better dynamic range. Zooming into the buildings in the distance, the iPhone 13 has better sharpness, along with the ability of zooming in a little further. In this close-up picture of the flower, the iPhone 13's picture looks a lot brighter while having a shallower depth of field. The iPhone X also does a good job, but does not have nearly as much detail on the stem. iPhone 13 Pro also adds support for macro photography through the ultra-wide-angle lens. Apple says it can focus on a subject as close as 2 centimeters away. I held both phones extremely close to a flower, and the iPhone 13 Pro was able to focus and capture details around the flower as well. The iPhone X really struggled here as it wasn't able to focus at all. This picture compares the regular wide-angle lens on the iPhone X to the ultra-wide on the 13 Pro. The ultra-wide-angle lens is able to capture a lot more detail, such as the crosswalk to my right, more cars in the parking lot, and of course, a significant portion of the Boudin Bakery in the back. The ultra-wide-angle lens is more useful when it comes to group photos as well, so you can fit more people into the frame. Night mode on the iPhone 13 makes a significant difference to this low-light picture. The iPhone X's picture is very grainy and you aren't able to distinguish many things in the picture. Night mode on the newer iPhones takes a long exposure shot to capture all the light that is available to create a much better picture in low light situations. When I turned the lights on in my backyard, it helped the iPhone X out a little bit, but it's still overexposed on each light bulb and the grass is still dark. For the iPhone 13, it was bright enough so that night mode did not have to activate. It does a fantastic job of keeping everything in the shot well lit and does not overexpose the light bulbs as badly as the iPhone X. So right now we're doing a video test of both the iPhone 13 Pro Max as well as the iPhone X. So you're currently hearing audio out of the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and both phones are recording at their maximum capability, which is 4K at 60 FPS. So you can see how the iPhone 13 Pro Max manages to keep the ground in focus as well as the sky, but the iPhone X does seem to overexpose the sky. And when we point both phones up, the iPhone X does correct it, but the plants in the bottom half do become a little darker. So now you're hearing audio out of the iPhone X. Just based off the screen I see here, the iPhone 13 does look a lot more saturated, and the iPhone X's colors do look a little more true to life. So I've been using the iPhone 13 Pro Max for about a month now, and one of my favorite improvements has got to be the battery life. After 6 or 7 hours of screen on time, the phone still has around 55 to 60% battery remaining, and that means you can easily take this as a 2-day phone, and you don't need to recharge it every night. And from that camera comparison you saw, the cameras on this phone are absolutely fantastic. It takes great pictures, and the video quality is amazing, especially the stabilization. I really like the ProMotion display on this phone. It's an adaptive 120 Hz, and it makes the phone feel so much smoother and more fluid. ProMotion is one of those things you don't notice right away, but when you go back to your old piece of technology, you notice that it's not there anymore. And here are the special wallpapers that come with the iPhone 13 Pro. So they're all very similar. They have this light bar effect. So of course when you haptic touch on them, it is a live photo, so it all moves around. And both of these do, and all the wallpapers do have light and dark mode support. So you can choose between all the different colors. And for example, the blue one comes on Sierra Blue, green is for silver, the purple one is for space gray, and the gold one is for the gold phone. So if we go ahead and click on the purple one, they all have a very similar effect. It's just the color changes and sometimes the orientation of the light bars also change. But other than that, that pretty much sums up this video. So if you have any comments or questions that you want to ask, leave it in the comments down below and I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.